Hey, what's up? And welcome in to Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for downloading the podcast. And don't forget, for the best in Bears conversation, cousin Wiley and I got a chance to talk about the Bears' this San Francisco game from Sunday Night Football. It's in the archives right now. Check it out. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and comment to the videos that we have right now. Our YouTube is growing because of you, and we want to thank you so much for that. Also, our podcast as well, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Just check Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood Show. We got merchandise as well. It's in the bio of this podcast as well. And so, again, thanks so much for being with us and checking us out on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. You know how much I love college football, especially this time of year. The college football playoff is in full swing. And to talk to us about it, our resident expert, Darius Brockett from SiriusXM College Sports Nation, also Brockett Media. Make sure that you follow him. He supports us, so you support Darius Brockett. He's got that Brocketology working. Brockett Media on YouTube, TikTok, wherever you get your Brockett Media. And he joins us right here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Sir, always a pleasure. Happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays. And for the record, bracketology is now fully in effect because of you. So I do thank you for that. So yes, I am now bracketology on YouTube, Brockett Media everywhere else. And I have you to thank because it is so catchy. And because of you, I have five people every time I say it now text me. I'm like, that's such a good name. I'm glad you that was amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I thought of it off the top of my head. I was just eating lunch one day and I got it.
That's it. Lunch. That's what it was. Lunch is just like, Brocketology.
I was just
Uh,
sitting there, Santa style, bracketology.
Well, it's all yours, man, because you've always got some great content on your YouTube. I do want to ask you about some of the news in college football before we get into these bowl games. So let's talk about Kyle Whittingham, hired as the new coach for Michigan. For a guy that's been at Utah 21 years, after he was done with Utah, he goes, I'm going into the portal. I'm going to do something different. And what's different, a big step up in class, being the Michigan head coach. What was your initial reaction to the hire?
Uh, I thought you were going to retire. That was my first thought. I thought this
Yeah.
was your swan song because originally he was going to coach in the bowl game, and then he just happens to end up at Michigan. I think this is a great hire if you're Michigan. You kind of got lucky here. The same way how Penn State got lucky with Matt Campbell. You get a great coach that falls in your lap after, granted, you didn't have to go months with searching, but having to go this week and a half, 2 week journey of just like, well, we heard Jeff Brom. He might be the guy from Louisville. Well, is Brent Key the guy? No, Brent Key doesn't fit. He's happy at Georgia Tech and he's going to sign an extension. Who can we get? Kyle Whittingham says, all right, I'm going to step down at Utah. And it's assumed he's going to retire. And now you guys get lucky with this. And you kind of had to. I think Michigan, you get a great coach who's going to come in fresh and clean, who's unlike all your previous Michigan coaches. He is not a Michigan man. And I think for once that is a good sign because now you can start clean. You don't have to worry about scandals. You don't have to worry about bad coaching. All he does is win. So if you're Michigan, you are getting a winning coach, regardless of how this looks, and you get to wipe off the stench of previous coaching regimes off your back.
What I was thinking, Darius, is that it's one thing for Michigan to hire Kyle Whittingham, and I think that that's a great hire. That's maybe A to B or maybe B to C hire. I just think that that's someone that's the adult in the room. But, my whole thing with Whittingham is this, and that is it's great that they were able to get that hire. No, Michigan fans are happy that Whittingham was part of it, but boy, the infrastructure of that university needs to be cleaned up. And
Yes.
I don't mean just like the haphazard way of hosts saying that they got to clean up this play and they need to clean this up. I'm talking about actual deep clean of this program, from Sharon Moore to the sign stealing scandal with Connor Stallions to the $2 million fine to Matt Weiss, the hacking scandal there, from Jawan Howard to Mel Pearson, the hockey coach. There's a litany of things that Michigan's got to be able to take care of. Like, Whittingham is not the elixir to clean up all the
Not even
issues in the
close.
athletic program, but something has to be able to change there because Whittingham's a great hire. But what are you going to do about the rest of it at Michigan? That's my question.
I think that's where it comes down from the third party investigation from Michigan going in the Ward manual and seeing, hey, what have you done? Because all these hires and all these scandals have come under his watch. where it's either been known and just brushed aside, or it's been unknown and undocumented, and now it's all coming to light. So and now you have to analyze what is wrong here and where can we start. And I think Kyle Whittingham is the first of probably many of going forward, where if Ward Manuel stays or if not, it'll be like, hey, we're going to go in a new direction of getting people who may not be quote unquote Michigan men and be Michigan people, of guys who are breed from this culture, who come from this area, but just go get proven winners. This coaching search was a clear cut sign that they wanted a winner for one and a guy who has no issues, who's all about ball and who's all about family. Kyle Whittingham knocks off every one of those boxes.
Yeah.
He's going to win those games. And it was about how can we keep the roster that we already have, as well as keep the signees that we have on board, the incoming recruiting class. So I think that's where it starts, and it's a knockout of the park. Like you said, it's probably A to B hire, probably B to C, depends on how it all shakes out. But it is a great hire for now.
Darius Brockett, let's talk about some of the bowl games and results that interest you over the weekend. We got a Penn State win over Clemson 22-10. We've got Houston over LSU. We've got Virginia over Mizzou. We've got BYU taking on Georgia Tech and winning that game. What game interests you the most over the last few
You
days?
got you already said it. We talking Pop Tarts, baby.
Yeah.
Let's dive straight into that. I think in all seriousness, that was probably the most fun bowl. I think the more intriguing bowl was Penn State Clemson.
Uh-huh.
uh Dabo Sweeney, excuse me, this is your swan song of a roster that I've had it predetermined. And even Penn State, both teams, I had YouTube videos out where I said they have a chance to have a prime college football playoff run, not because of anything of coaching merit, but because of the roster retention that they both had. You have your starting quarterback, you have your good offensive line, great defense line, NFL caliber players across both sides of the ball. This was supposed to be you guys' years on both teams. Obviously, neither of them get it the way they want, but I think specifically for Clemson, you've done it this way in this new era of college football without diving in the transfer portal, and now you're about to lose a litany of guys. Your roster is just about to get poached, and not even
Yeah.
poached from just people hitting the portal, but you have kids graduating, you have kids about to go to the NFL, you are going to have some who are going to test the waters of the transfer portal, and now it's up to you. Are you going to be this guy that says we're going to develop, we're going to graduate, we're going to breed this roster, or are you going to, no pun intended, but shake the hand with the devil's deal and go like, we have to buy these guys, we have to get the transfer portal roster, we have to make these splashes. And it's not saying you have to go all in every year on your roster like a Miami does, a Colorado or Ole Miss at the time with Lane Kiffin, which probably LSU will do going forward. But you do have to supplement talent with more diverse talent, as well as bringing the recruiting pool. And on the Penn State side, your recruiting pool is gone because they're now at Virginia Tech. And so now you have to find a way to do these things. They have a quarterback in Ethan Gruckenmeyer. We don't know how long he's going to be there. We don't know if Rocco Beck is going to be a transfer that can slide over and insert himself into Penn State. But there was a lot on that roster that you thought was ready to win now talent. And unfortunately, it just couldn't get it done. But those two, that game specifically, the Pinstripe Bowl, is probably the most intriguing, most fun Pop Tarts Bowl.
Dabo Sweeney, Darius, has to be embarrassed. He's a proud man, proud coach, right? He wants to do things his way. And, any coach can have down years. But watching those press conferences and the losses that he took a thumping. And then on this bowl game, like I know you just want to get through the season, but damn, I look forward to seeing how he's able to go about his business because we could
Mm-hmm.
talk about him as we talk about Ed Ogeron. Like remember when that coach was good? Remember back then? Like he's
Yeah.
he could be that guy, Darius, if he does not, as you laid out, if he doesn't change his ways and understand like this is what it is in college football. If you want to play it close to the vest, and it's just like, no, we're just gonna recruit them because they need to learn ball. That's not where the game is today. And if he wants to play it
Not at
that way,
all.
he's going to be left behind.
And a part of me is torn because I have so much respect for Coach Sweeney. I have so much respect for what he's done. He's one of the few winning coaches that have won a national championship coaching currently. It's Kirby Smart, him, I don't think there's other names on that list that are active right now.
Yeah.
There, and Ryan Day, three active coaches who've won a national championship. That's it. So if you're Clemson, your time is ticking on Dabo, but at the same time, you have to hold the level of respect. You wasn't expecting a year like this. Last year, you made it into the playoffs. So this is probably your biggest anomaly. But again, you got to have that conversation like, hey, I know you're a proud man. I know you wanted to do this on morals, values of developing kids. You can still do that. But please go get you at least 10 guys out the portal that are ready to play now to help those developing kids, because you're not going to be able to compete and you're not going to see everything turn around like that fast, at least not in this era. So it sucks, but at the same time, I think this is the kick in the pants Clemson needed, especially Dabo Sweeney needed to be like, all right, if I'm going to still dominate the ACC and then dominate the college football playoffs again, I see where I have to be at. And Clemson, do you have the funds? Do you have the money to go dive into that world? Can you put in that significant $20 million roster that supposedly almost everyone has to win?
You know what? Let's delve into. I do have other bowl games I want to talk to you about, but let's talk about this for a second. So, Darius, you are a you're not rich, you're wealthy. And there's a difference between the two, as you well know.
Yes, sir.
Being rich and wealthy are different. I mean, you can get rich from the lottery, but you can get wealthy from having a Fortune 500 company that always funnels in money, always has, you
Mm-hmm.
always are able to have money on hand. You can always be able to buy whatever you want. That's wealthy. It's a funny thing about college athletics, and you and I both love it, but if you are, say, Arkansas, I'll just use them. I'll pick them out of nowhere, right? I
Jerry
always
Jones
think
money, baby.
I always think it's embarrassing that Arkansas's football team is that way because they have as much money as whatever the top team is in the SEC. They should be in the top two or top three as far as money. They should be able to buy whatever they want. But you know what's funny about this? The philanthropy of this is always intriguing because, hey man, I'll give you um $10 million for your football team. And I don't necessarily get return on my investment, even though I'm wealthy. It's just that I'm giving you 10 million because I'm trying to buy a national championship. I'm trying to buy a really high level bowl game, and I don't get a return on my investment. It's one of the weird things about when you are a donor or when you're giving money. It's like, here's the money, even though I'm not getting anything back in return. Like if I'm using Arkansas for example, right? All of a sudden it's a basketball school out of nowhere with Cal being there. But I find that always interesting. Here's $20 million, Darius, for your program.
Yeah,
And
no,
I don't get it, but I don't get anything back outside of a middle bowl game or a quick finish in the NCAA tournament. It kind of sucks because for me, I kind of want something back for the money I give you. But then again, now when you don't win, guess who's knocking on the door for more the next year? That's
same
crazy to
guy.
me. That's crazy.
It unfortunately that's where we are, and I want to complain about it, but there's a part of me that can't. This is the reality. We always knew, even before this was legal, it was being done, right?
Sure, sure.
SMU, Miami, hell, even Alabama, probably of the Nick Saban teams, was finding ways. Coach O has had stories of how he has found ways to get kids to commit to his universities, and now that he's not in coaching, he can joke about it and say, "How much money you got? I can give you 10,000." Like, this is where we are. It is okay, and the return on investment is, I will say, for the proper use of this example, look at Texas Tech. That is a proper use of your ROI, right? They got a new building, they got new facilities, they got all this, and then you know what was the reward? A top 5 transfer recruiting class that came in this year that is now on the precipice of playing in the college football quarterfinals that can put them in the semis the week afterwards, in a
Mhm.
couple weeks afterwards. So that's your return on investment. Unfortunately, it does suck if you are a Arkansas and you go, well, we got Tyson's chicken nugget sponsorship on the field. We
Yeah.
should have Jerry Jones money if we talk to him enough, but we just don't get it. And unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. Some
Well,
teams, it's the haves and the have-nots, and it shouldn't be like that, but that's where we are. It's an arms race.
I'm just saying, I mean, bracketology makes, $30 million a year. and so you're making money hand over fist. But they come to you and say, "Could you write this check?" And you're like, "All right." So, but then you fall short, way short of your goal, and they come to you and say, "Darius, can you give us another?" That's a tough
Oh no.
check.
See,
That's tough, man.
you
But
asking the
it's
wrong
tough.
person. You're asking the
But it's
wrong person.
right.
Me, we you may have a start price point. I'm doing it like it's a video game. You got this incentive, this incentive, this incentive. If you don't hit it, you can come back to me. But just know what was $10 million now it turned into 6.4. Now, if you don't do nothing, it's gonna drop to 4.2, and we'll just keep going until you get that until that ROI hits. Now, if you hit it, I'll increase. It's it's like tipping. I
That's
feel like
fair.
it's the tipping world of college athletics. It's tipping. If you serve me well, 25%. Bad serve, it gets dropped down more and more depending on did you deliver the napkins? Did
Yeah,
you ask me if I need anything else? If you don't ask, all right now, you didn't knocked off your tip a couple bit. You start off at 25. It's your job to either get more or get less out of me.
we're so much alike. That's just really interesting. The other thing too, before we go into the bowl games that you mentioned that just jogged a thought that I had is when we have coaches, college football, college basketball, that are now analysts now, okay, because they run away from the sport because it's not the sport that I remember. All this NIL, I didn't sign up. I'm here to coach, the actual sport, football or basketball. So I'm going to leave. And those that are still in it complaining like an Izzo and some of these other guys complaining. You know what I would tell you, Darius? What I would tell you is that I admire the longtime coach that's still in it in the NIL era, because if you can win in this era where you are the general manager, if you don't hire one, you're the general manager, you're the recruiter, you're the head coach, you do everything for a team, football or basketball, and you still
Mm-hmm.
win, hats off to you. You don't have to run to the CBS eye jacket and put it on just because now it's NIL. I can't handle this, because remember, the power always lied in the university, the coach, the AD.
Every time.
And now the power is lying into the hands of the player because they're saying, "How much you going to pay me?" Well, as a coach, you always ask, "How much you going to pay me?" But now the players that do it, oh no, no, I'm going to run to Turner, Bruce Pearl. Yeah, I'm going to run. I'm going to go. I can't take this. So I always find that interesting, because the coach that's in it today that says, "You know what, this is a pain in the ass. That's not what I signed up for. But you know what? I still love the sport. I'm going to keep coaching at it." I admire those guys.
Yeah, and oddly enough, I think this is why we're starting to see coaches younger, like Kenny Dillingham. Although that's probably not the best example given his string of weeks of asking for money, but
Yeah,
like you find these younger coaches with the experience that say, or Dan Lanning, who like this is a young man game. I can still relate to these kids. I can still talk to the older kids and that have responsibilities, that have kids at this point, if the COVID rule is still in effect or whatnot. But then, like you said, there's coaches who don't leave, i.e., Kirk Ferentz at Iowa. The guy is re-upping for what, year 28, I believe.
crazy.
And dude, you've now seen it all. You've seen NIL enter. You've seen the conversation start. You've seen it enter. You've seen how it's affected people. And yet, no one who goes to Iowa, aside from Caden Proctor in that crazy summer or spring, was like, hey, I'm going to stay here. You don't get a lot of news of people leaving Iowa because of Kirk Ferentz. So I'm in the same boat as you. I applaud the ones who've been doing it for this 2 decade plus and they still are in it. But also, I'm get the dinosaurs out the way. It's time for the young guns. It's time for the fresh blood. I'm sorry. I don't want to see Nick Saban on the sidelines ever again. He's fine with Miss Terry. He's fine doing the Pat McAfee show. I'm cool with that. Bruce Pearl, cool. Get out. I'm sorry if this is not what you're in it for anymore. It's time to let the young guns step in because that connection to these recruits hit a lot different when you're both going through this together versus someone who just complains about what the game used to be and what it is now.
Like your guy Larinaga, same thing
Yeah,
in Miami. I
he
mean,
got
I
out.
love Larinaga, but he's like, I can't. I mean, he was so frazzled. Like, I got to leave in the middle of the season. He'll never coach again.
Yeah, he just like I can't. So again, there's a two-way street to it all, and unfortunately, I do love to play devil's advocate on these. It's okay to be old. As someone who's young, I look forward to getting old. I will say that right now. Only thing I don't look forward to is if my knees are still bad. But outside of that, I love getting older. but sometimes you have to let the young kids step on. It's time for the new kids on the block. How do we get these new brash faces, these new traditions, these new cultures if we keep the old guard in?
Let's talk about some of these bowl games. Around these parts of the land of Lincoln, there was some excitement about Illinois when the season started because it's like Illinois top 15 team. Like, what's the this? So there's some hype there, and then it just kind of like Illinois is relevant under Bielema. It's still middling. I get that, but the point is that it used to be really bad and really a non-factor. Illinois takes on Tennessee in this one. Quite a test coming up.
It is, but I think for this game, it's more so hinged on Brett B and that team more than it is on Tennessee. They knew what they kind of had with Joey Aguilar when they had that random trade in the spring transfer portal. So Josh Heupel is kind of fine with where his team is going. But Brett B, this is what your team should have and need to kind of put yourself in the right position going into next season. It's all about momentum, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out. I do think Bielema's a hell of a coach, great coach. He
Yeah,
got a lot of guys to buy in. He had a lot of people wanting to be a part of that team, wanting to succeed. Unfortunately, you guys just weren't able to close out. So this will be the game where I would hope it's treated not as an exhibition, but more as a tryout for a lot of young talent, a lot of young guys that are going to stay. And that goes for Tennessee as well. But
yeah.
it's just specifically for Illinois. See what you have in your roster, so then when this portal window opens in what, 4 days, you will now go, I need him, build up on this offensive line, build up on the defensive line. Our secondary was okay, but we gave up this. We could refortify this. And then here come the recruits. Here comes the high schoolers. So I feel like that's what it's going to be used for in this game. It's a tough matchup, but at the same time, I think if you get the right film on tape, if you get the right looks that you wanted, you'll be happy with the results. Now you will want to win. That goes for
Sure.
either team, but some things you can be happy with if you don't have the win, but you kind of at least have a baseline of what you're going to be looking into when you hit the spring and you hit that summer.
Bielema will be out there on the field with his outstretched arms, taunting the
Oh,
other team.
don't let Beamer see it. Do not let Beamer see it.
He's going to be going after the other team like he did against South Carolina. That's so good. Oregon, Texas Tech. What do you think of that game coming up?
Okay, so this is hard, right? I heard Josh Pate. He said it, and I I've also had the same thought, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people had this same school of thought.
With his white T-shirt, Josh Pate. Yep.
We don't know really nothing about these two teams. And it's
Right.
not a bad thing, but it's not a good thing, right? The Big Ten has three teams that we all can say we know nothing about because the Big Ten is a very top loaded conference. If you are within that top five, it's like you guys are clearly the cream of the crop. Everyone else is either middling or below. So and all of them, when they've tested each other, we kind of seen what it looks like. Ohio State, specifically, when they've had their moments, we were like, okay, cool. Same thing for Oregon in this game. Oregon, your real test was what we thought was going to be Penn State, and we seen what they turned out to be on the back end. And then it was Indiana. And we're like, oh, this is what they are. But then they rattle off the rest of that season just winning in a crazy fashion, and then having a running game that came on fire, and Dante Moore playing lights out. So it's like, what does this Oregon team look like? And then on the flip side with Texas Tech, same thing. Big 12, we thought, okay, everyone's jockeying for position. Okay. And $20 million Texas Tech with Joey McGuire has now separated themselves from the pack. And it clearly shows because that defense is really good. Texas Tech does a great job at stopping the run. That is what they do best. They put you in uncomfortable positions, they get you behind the sticks, and then they send the hellhounds after you, and that's how they get you. But they're playing against a team that is really good at the run, that has a
Yes.
personnel that can spread you out and still run up the middle on you. So we're in a question of how does this chess match play out? How does Dan Lanning and his offense combat against Texas Tech and their defense? And then you have to flip it for both, where Texas Tech is really good at throwing the ball. They're really good at taking advantage of what the defense gives them, throwing underneath, and then try to get explosive plays here and there. But then they capitalize on the red zone. That's where they make their money. Oregon's not a good red zone defense because they haven't been tested a lot in the red zone. So what are we going to see that where a team has the edge? I think at the end of the day, I want to go Oregon, but it's because Oregon has a personnel grouping that Texas Tech hasn't seen yet. But it's a who's game.
Sorry. So far, I like Illinois against Tennessee and Oregon. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, Darius. Maybe you have that. But I like Oregon to straight up to beat Texas
Oregon
Tech.
2.5.
Okay, that's fine.
That's a
That
fair
sounds
number.
good. I think that's good. Especially as you couched it, we don't know what we're going to expect here.
Yeah.
So because it's a bowl game and it's wild, but Oregon I think has enough. They have enough on the defense to be able to, I believe, slow and not stop Texas
And
Tech,
they're
and I think that it
healthy.
can win. Yeah,
They're
yeah.
healthy on offense. Sadiq Bey, Decorian Moore. If they can have those explosive passing game, and I know Texas Tech is really good in the secondary, but if you can outmaneuver them and not need one guy to be Superman and attack the seams, Oregon is my best bet to win that game.
Do you have Illinois in front of you too? Because we cannot bet on college. How about this? You know this about the state of Illinois. We cannot bet on college teams in the state of Illinois. Uh,
Boo.
I know, right? So you tell me. But I like Illinois in this game against Tennessee slightly. Field
Looking,
goal
looking,
game.
looking. It is Tennessee 2.5.
Yeah, I like Illinois.
I would go. I don't know. I would go Tennessee. Unfortunately, I go Tennessee because of they have the guys up front. They have the trench players that can attack. They can get to Illinois' quarterback a lot more. You can make him uncomfortable a little bit more than you can if you're Tennessee. Now it's just
I just
Joey, don't blow it. You
I
know
just think I think there's a level of give up with Tennessee and Josh Heupel's teams at times.
that is also very true. That is all. And
I'm
again,
just
I
watching it.
can't argue it.
Yeah,
You're
I
not
mean, but
wrong.
who knows? Because it's a bowl game. There's something about Tennessee and some of the athletes there, and just kind of like slump shoulders in the fourth quarter. It's like, come on, bro, you got to play the entire game. And I
If you
thought that
punch them
there
enough in the
was.
face, eventually someone gets tired of getting hit.
I think that's Tennessee. Please let's talk about your team. Let's talk about Ohio State against Miami. Your team, Miami. Please, just give us the whole breakdown. First of all, if you have the number, I'll take that. But
Nine and a
Ohio,
half.
oh
Ohio State.
Jesus.
That
Well,
is a big number.
let me just say, Darius Brockett. Like, look, but we've all said it. The Ohio State, to me, like pound for pound, the best team in college football. Okay, but in this case against Miami, what a test. Miami, by the way, has already won. Not this game, but they've won the season. They've turned it around where people believe in Miami. Now, you as a critic and as a fan of Miami, I look forward to the breakdown here, your expectations. Would you agree with me that Miami has won the whole, the sum of its parts, like the whole, as having a good season, but Ohio State's a different animal.
Answer the first question, yes. And I believe they won because they made the playoffs. If they didn't make the playoffs and Duke having that ACC title over them, giving who your former head coach was, that would be a massive blow. And not
Yeah,
only did you make it into the playoffs, you won a playoff game. So that shows that you have the capabilities of being a college football playoff worthy team. I would love to, but I can't. I wouldn't even say that you is back yet because we never know. And Mario Cristobal has had history of having these rosters or having these teams, and then somehow they collapse on themselves. So we have to see what that looks like. I do think 9.5 is a massive number. I think that shows that Vegas either knows something we don't, or they took the idea of what they saw last week when they played Texas A&M and applied it to this game, where they were like, well, Miami wasn't effective moving the ball downfield in the passing game, but they were effective running the ball. Ohio State's one of the best defenses in the country. So if they do that, it should be good. But then again, Miami is pound for pound one of the best teams in the trenches,
sure.
offensive line and defensive line. This is a game that has Mel Kiper's big board has 8 guys on the defensive side of the ball who are in the top 32 of that
Hmm.
first round. So this is probably the most NFL loaded game we are going to see when it comes to these defenses. And again, I said it earlier, when it comes to the Big Ten and these teams, we know diddly squat. And I'll tell you why. Your massive games that we point at, we go, well, Texas played Ohio State in week 1. Well, that was a 7-14 game. Okay, they blow out, blow out, blow out. toughest game against Washington, it was 24-6. But there was a moment where it was 13-6, and that was a very close game, and they're not ranked. Then you go, okay, they handle business, handle business, handle business. Illinois, another team that we said were a formidable foe and that could have posed problems. That was probably their best scoring output for Ohio State, having 34 and limiting Illinois to 16. But then we get to that championship game where it's
We
13 to
lost.
10.
Yeah.
So it's
Go ahead.
like it's a different battle each time. We don't know what this team looks like. We know they're one of the best teams, but when you have to play a team that matches you and that can match you, and I want to emphasize that they can, don't know if they will, but they can in terms of they meet you at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, just like Texas A&M. They meet you with the talent that they have at the quarterback department. They can run the ball if they need to. We are unsure. This could be another rock fight. I think Ohio State does win this game, but I don't think the number is that high. But again, it's also be a disservice if I don't say Miami can win the game. But they have to get out of their gimmick offense of just trying to force ways to get Malachi Tony the ball, and they have to find ways to punch Ohio State in the face. They have to make Julian Sand uncomfortable. If you don't make that quarterback uncomfortable, Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith are going to find ways to get open. Bo Jackson's going to find a way to gash that defense, and you have to have proper tackling. So again, as I say all this, yeah, I may love the Hurricanes here, but if we want to be honest, I could see Ohio State winning this game. And it's not like,
Yes.
oh, it's a shocker. It's just no. Miami has to not get in their own way. Carson Beck has to not throw picks. The passing game has to pick up. They have to match what Ohio State does. If it's a shootout, Ohio State wins this game. But if you can get it in a 13-10, if you can keep it in those low scorings, even with
Yes.
the total being 41 and a half, if you can keep it in that realm, okay, Miami may have a shot.
Yeah.
Miami could do it, but I
This-
will go Ohio State.
Yes. That's the smart play. The Miami will run out of time, and they're going to lose this football game. That's what's going to happen.
Possibly.
No, it's over. No,
You got
this is this is not like Ohio State Michigan where it's you're winning 6-3. That's not what this game is. And as I always tell my Miami friends, Carson Beck, good luck.
that is very true.
I'm a Georgia fan. I know what that looks like when he
But
starts throwing
also,
picks all over the place. You
we
saw
also
you
got to
saw it this year.
see it.
Hold on a second. You saw it this year too, right? You
Oh,
saw that.
I've
You've seen
gone
Bad
on
Beck,
record.
haven't you?
Hold
There's
on. I've
good.
gone on record and
Yeah,
said that I did not believe him when he first got to my. I've gone on record on my own platform and said it. So hey, I got high five right there. We are in the same boat on that one. But it's something about the way he's played these last couple games
sure.
that it won't. I won't say it gives me confidence, but it does go like if Shannon Dawson and that Miami passing game can find ways to get the ball out of his hands quick, because we know Ohio State's going to come with pressure. We know Caleb Downs is going to be floating across the field in the secondary. You have to find ways to win your matchups when you have them and take what the defense gives you and not have to play Superman ball. Doesn't mean that it's not going to happen.
All right. All right. I've circled Ohio State. All right. So I got three winners. I got two more games. Obviously, we got to talk about Bama and Indiana. This is in Bloomington, correct?
No, you
Where is it?
wish. It is, I think, what is it? The Cotton Bowl? No, it's not the Cotton Bowl. It's the Rose Bowl. So they're in Pasadena.
In Pasadena. Okay. All right. This will be very interesting because Coach Signetti, Google me if you want to know just Google
I got
me
to do it every time now.
against Alabama. What is the number for this game? The latest number? Indiana,
7.
Bama,
Indiana 7.
Indiana 7. Okay, so do we get the cardiac Hoosiers, or do we have a Hoosiers team that's going to straight up beat Bama? Because I'll lean Indiana, close game, +7, close game, but I'd like to know what kind of Hoosiers team I'm getting. How do you analyze that matchup?
Rest versus rust. I think this will be the conversation. Dan Lanning's talked about it, where he's like, I wish we could have playoff games back to back to back like the NFL versus having this much time off.
Yeah.
Alabama played in a game. Most of these teams have played in a game. And we saw last year when you played in that first round, they most likely won, and it was a rickshaw. Both teams are very good at stopping the run. But the difference is who's less of a one-trick pony. Both teams have had spurts in different games where they've had to rely on being one trick ponies and having to settle in on we have to do this in order to win. We have to run. We have to keep running, or we have to pass from a offensive standpoint. I don't know how this game looks out, but I do give an edge to Alabama because if we get the Alabama that came back against Ohio State, that's against Oklahoma, we're like, oh, okay. But also, they have to be in rhythm. Ryan Williams can't have any drop passes. Isaiah Horton has to be on his best game. Jeremy Bernard has to be on his best game. The run game is still going to be there. Alabama's not going to be scared to stop running the ball. They're going to find ways to even do it if Ty Simpson has to use his legs.
Yeah.
Indiana, on the flip side, if your run game isn't going, if Hemby's not at his best, if your multitude of switchblade running backs are not doing their job, if Surratt is hinged up, where do you go after that? Mendoza, you are a Heisman caliber quarterback. However, you are not the best Heisman quarterback. You won it because you were great this year, but in all the other Heismans we've seen
Yeah.
of quarterbacks, you are by far the least impressive with those numbers. So it's what are you going to do when the ball is in your hands? We've seen what Ty Simpson had to offer on both sides, good and bad. Indiana, we haven't seen their good and bad. So again, it always goes back to Big Ten. We do not know.
Okay. So, you said the number 7, right?
So yeah.
Indiana, the 7-point favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm going to circle Bama. Not sure that Bama's going to win the football game. However, with this, you said this game is going to be at the Rose Bowl,
Yeah.
Pasadena. Okay, so you always got to think about the horses from Bloomington going to a warmer climate. And you say, well, Hood, look at what they did against Oregon. Okay, yeah, I'm just saying that you mentioned rest versus rust. Indiana had all the momentum, and they had to sit out and kind of wait what's going on. Bama, and this is what it comes down to for me when as you mentioned, when you're not sure about rust versus rust, when you're not sure exactly what a Big Ten team could do in that environment, you always look for the coaching advantage. Who would you take in that coaching advantage, Darius Brockett? Would you take Signetti or would you take DeBoer? I know who I'd take. Google
So
me.
Signetti is 0-1 in the college football playoff. DeBoer is 1-1, and
Yeah,
that one loss was in a national championship. Someone knows something a little bit more on what it takes to get to a national championship than the other one. And that's where I would lean. I think DeBoer, because he's been in this position, he at least has a certain keen eye on knowing what his guys would need. And especially because the SEC championship game, he admitted it, we had 13 guys out. You go to Oklahoma and you finally get most of those guys back, and you got to see what that game looked like differently. And you could see after that pick six, that
yeah,
whole team generated differently. Now you go to this game, you're even more time to rest, more time to get healthy, while the other team had to wait to see who they were going to play, then had to begin preparation. You already knew who you were playing in the back of your mind. You've already dove into the film prep that day afterwards. So now you've had all this preparation loading in, all this rest loading in, all this time where they've had one. It's almost like the inverse of having to play catch up, and you had the bye the whole time. You were in the better position, but somehow you still have to play catch up.
yes. But it's something to be said about you and your buddy going into a crowd of dudes and you have to go through the other side, but you got to get through that crowd to get to the other side of that sidewalk. It's something about the buddy of yours that is unbothered by the crowd. Man, they got knives, man. I don't know,
And
man.
that's what Sig is.
And that's who Signetti is. He goes, "We're gonna walk right through it, Darius Hood. Don't worry about it. We're gonna walk right." That's who he is. He
And
is
then
not
there's another
him,
buddy.
but him and his team is unbothered though. That it's like, oh, it's Alabama. It's all the national championships. It's all of they're gonna have way more fans than Indiana will have, and they don't care. There's something to be said about that. That kind of unflinching kind of confidence.
And Sig does a great job of getting people to buy in and believe. And that's why, like, here's the fun part. I
Mm,
think the lore of Alabama has worn off. The lore of Alabama is like, I'm not scared of Alabama. That's fine. That is completely fine. You do not have to be scared of Alabama. But Kalen DeBoer, one thing he's always preached after losses, after wins, resilient, resilient, resilient. We've been
yeah.
down, we've come back, we've been up, We've had to stay ahead. We've been here. We had to do this. Indiana, we do not know what you look like when you had to face adversity this crazy. Yeah, Oregon, that's a small moment. Penn State, yeah, that's a small moment, but even then you were in control for most of those games. So there's not like I've got punched in the face. Now I'm down 10-0 and we got 8 minutes left in this first quarter. We don't know what that looks like. Fernando Mendoza, we do not know what that confidence looks like when you've been hit over and over. Granted, he took a whopping against Ohio State in that Big Ten championship game. Got the
Yeah.
wind knocked out of him, came back. Kudos to that. But it's something about that repetition over and over and over. Like Marshawn Lynch, just run through his face over and over and
Right,
over
right,
and over.
right.
You don't know what your mind looks like. And see, great roster. I do say this. This roster is way better than last year's roster. I
All
will I
good.
will say that. Way better than last year's roster. So Alabama, I think they win, but I think again, it's a win by 3 score. It's a 3-point win. We got a field goal, something happened, we're up by 2, a turnover that happened to go your way. So I'll take Bama.
Okay, I'll be on the other side. I'll take Indiana. I will circle Bama because I think it's closer than the experts think, but I think Indiana finds a way straight up to win that game. We'll see. So we've gone through Illinois, Tennessee. If you're just joining us, by the way, you can be able to. We are live talking college football, and so if you want to leave a comment, you can. And Darius and I are just going through the college football playoff. If you just joined us, you can leave a super chat if you'd like, and we definitely will get to your message. So thanks so much for supporting Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. We got one more game and then we are wrapping up, and that is my Georgia Bulldogs taking on Ole Miss. So tell me why Georgia will steamroll Ole Miss in this game. Go ahead, take as much time as you like on why Georgia's going to win that football game, please.
Okay, why Georgia should win this game?
Will.
Defense. It always comes down to defense. One thing about Ole Miss' biggest question mark was defense this year. We saw it look good at times, we saw it look bad at times. But one thing that happened in the last time they met, Georgia's defense turned it on just a little bit more, and we saw Trinidad Chambliss look human. In that moment, we'd never seen him look human. But also, we did not know if Georgia can withstand a shootout with another team because of how slow and methodical that offense is. Well, we saw it. We were wrong, and we were like, "Oh, Mike Bobo has this defense. He has this offense right where they need to be." Now we are in this moment where now you've added more concepts, you've added more plays, you've added more wrinkles. Your guys are healthy. Let's see what happens. Kirby Smart, who's built for these moments. I'm with Georgia in winning this game. I don't see it. I think 6.5 is a pretty good number. I think
Yeah.
I would take that. But also, Ole Miss, no Lane Kiffin, nothing looked different. I think that was the biggest conversation everyone wondered is how would this team look without Ole Miss? And Pete Golden let us know it was very much Charlie Weiss was going to play the bet, was going to call the best game because he got tired of everyone hearing that Lane Kiffin was the mastermind of this offense. Yeah, he might have helped create it, but it was Charlie Weiss making those calls. If this is another shootout, I still go Georgia. If this is a dogfight, I go Georgia. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if Ole Miss in that offense finds a way to have explosive plays. I think that's what they have to do if they want to win this game. Be explosive with Keywan Lacey. Be explosive with Wallace down the seam. Trinidad Chambliss has to use his legs. You have to throw almost the entire kitchen sink at Georgia if you want to win the games like this. But it's hard to do when you have a defense that at one point was very young, very inexperienced, mature right in front of our eyes over the course of the season.
Yeah. Sick 'em, roof, roof, roof. Georgia will take care of business. There's that feeling, and then by the way, it's not even about the field, Darius. It's about the emotion of, oh, coach is not with us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I can let my foot off the pedal a little bit. I don't expect
Or
a blowout. That's not what Georgia does, but I expect Georgia to win the football game.
word around town, some of those players been happy since he left. They thought that was their cue. They put their foot on the gas.
Yeah.
They
Well,
so you never know. Uh, Look, I am a any given Sunday, any given Saturday guy. I
yeah.
never count anybody out until games are played on the field. I try to ignore the number as best as possible. So even when I look at it, I'm like 6.5. Ooh, Cool. Any given Saturday, again, I'll say it. You've heard me say it. Georgia wins the game,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't be surprised on any given Saturday with any of these games of who we picked.
Tell people how people can get connected to Brockett Media, sir.
So you guys can follow me everywhere on socials, Brockett Media, Brockett Media. I have a YouTube channel under Brockett Media and Brocketology where I have my Brocketology breakdowns, or I just discuss what's going on. Now that football season's kind of dying down, I post articles on LinkedIn where I cover the Maryland Terrapins. I cover men's and women's basketball. So you guys check me out on there too. You can find me at Darius Brockett on LinkedIn. If you guys need me, just come find me. I like everybody. I talk about every sport damn near. I talk about every team. One thing that you get from me, yeah, you know where my fandom lies, but I'm honest. Even then, we were just talking about Miami. Come on, guys. A Miami Hurricane fan that was at least honest to know that we have problems. Like, when do you ever get a guy, a journalist, an analyst in this realm who can admit when his team isn't that great?
Mike Ryan Lebertard show, also a you guy.
Okay, all
One of those,
right. See,
one
you
of those
weren't supposed
pain.
to tell him. We're supposed to tell him. I was supposed to be original. See, now they know. Now they know. Thanks a lot.
You are the original, but there's others as well, I think, that try to be able to give the truth about the you. Hey, man, this is great that we're able to talk college football as often as we do. I'm hoping that you have a great 2026. It's the sky's the limit now, Darius. The sky's the limit because we got to talk about as we get closer and closer to the national championship. We got to talk about those games as well.
And I hope so. I think we got the best teams in the playoff. I think these are the best remaining contenders here. Notre Dame, you didn't belong. I'll say it. Boo hoo, bye bye. We got the best guys representing left. These should all be some great matches. Everybody have a happy new year. Bring in the new year safely, soundly. Have fun. Watch some good games. I've been very appreciative of this. Every time you ask me to do it, I say yes with no issues. So this has been very fun.
Make sure that you subscribe to Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Hit that subscribe button, like, share, and subscribe, and also comment. We'd love to get your reaction to what you can expect for the college football playoff as well. We'll be watching the games. It's got a lot of still so much college football that we'll be keeping our eyes on. And again, we appreciate you and happy New Year to you and your family. Thanks so much for checking out Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Keep it locked right here on UTH.